Well, typically, we'd go into a time of worship. You guys would. I would be worship with you vicariously at my home church in Colorado Springs. But instead of doing music at this point, we're going to worship in a different way, and that is by hearing what God's doing with people from your midst, not only internationally, but locally. And so at this point, Eric's going to come up and share some really cool stories with you about what other people are doing and other ways you can get involved. Eric. Oh, yeah. Last one.
Yeah, we know we can take it. No, you know what? This has been an amazing morning and a challenging morning for I think all of us to examine ourselves. But I also want to just take a few minutes now and share something with you that Dave shared with some of us a couple days ago. And that's in the book of Romans in chapter 1, where Paul says, I thank my God for you because your faith is being proclaimed throughout the world. And that the next few minutes as we share, I want you to recognize that is exactly what's happening. I look around, I see faces of people who have been on our trips all over the world. I see people that I know have supported the people that have gone on trips or who have provided supplies for us in many different ways. And so as you hear about what has been going on in Honduras and Russia and New Orleans and here locally, just know that what we're sharing with you is your faith throughout the world. Well, I have Miles here. I almost called you Robbie. Sorry about that. I haven't done that all morning, and here I almost did it last time. But Miles has been to Honduras now 3 times, and I was lucky enough to be with him a couple times. And when you go, you think, well, okay, we're doing the kind of the same thing, but each time it's just a little bit different. And so why don't you share with us a little bit about what happened, what did we do down there, and what you experienced being there?
Yeah, what you just said is kind of, I just want to add to that, we felt like we were kind of just going to, like the first trip, it felt like we were going to go down there, and all I knew about it was that we were going to build a wall, but it ended up being so not about the construction. I mean, we did a lot of stuff, but it was about the people, and it was like, this year we built a wall for a family that their house was kind of crumbling. Well, the hill was crumbling down and the house was coming with it, and so we built a retaining wall for it, so it wouldn't slide down anymore. And another 2 families, we did a water system where 40% of their income goes to water, so they have to first of all give all that of their income plus walk really far to get it, and it's huge jugs that they have to carry and hike to their houses. There's not really a lot of roads, especially to the houses that we were at. We built water systems for 2 families that were in that situation, and also we did a VBS, which is like a vacation Bible school for all the kids in that area. There's like 200 kids that came down, and we just love on them and play with them because a lot of them, their parents work all day just so they can provide, make enough money for that day, for that night, for dinner. And so they're working all the time. They don't get played with that much. So just loving them and telling them about how much Jesus loves them, and it was just really, really, really awesome. And I always say this, but we did a lot of things, and I already covered this, but we did a lot of things, but it was so much more about just the relationships with the people and just the faces and they cried when we left. We cried when we were leaving them, yet we never said a word to them. And understood each other's language. We don't know each other's language yet. We were so close by the end. It was just so powerful. I don't know how to explain it, but.
Well, one of the things that is also fun when we go on these kind of trips is that at times that you may be passionate about doing something. Miles here, 17, and he has a passion for video, and so what was really cool was that he was able to take a video camera with him, shoot some video, and then when he came home, get together with our video editor, Ben, and sit down and put together a clip that we're going to be watching here in just a minute. And I share that with you because I'm proud of him. It's a great clip. He did a phenomenal job, and it's just fun to see how God is bringing up talent, and being able to give people the ability to do what they're passionate about. don't you share just a little bit with us about what's going to be in the video?
Okay. Try to keep it shorter this time. But basically, when we were on layover in Dallas somewhere in Texas, on the way to Honduras from Salt Lake, and me and Robbie and this girl Holly, we went early so we could establish a little bit more of the medical supply. Anyway, so we had a lot of time to talk and pray, and one of our major prayers was that God would help us to step into his heartbeat, let us step into his heartbeat, and just show us where his heart was broken and place us in those areas, whatever that means. We didn't really know what we were going to do. Again, all we heard was we're going to build a wall or something, or I don't know. Anyway, so that God would show us, the people that his heart was broken for, and that he would love them through us. And it totally happened. I mean, blew me out of the water from my expectations. And then I heard this song, Still Cross White, which is the song that I put on this. And I just think of the faces, and I think of the things that God did there when I hear thunder. That's what this song's called, Thunders. But the power that I felt by experiencing and kind of watching this all go on, watch God work, this song kind of captured it for me. And I don't know if you guys will share that with me, but hopefully it kind of explains that.
So let's take a look at this video. You'll be able to see the water systems that were built, the wall, the kids in the VBS, and even some baptisms. And just enjoy, get a glimpse of Honduras. Thanks.
Cords of death entangled me. Torrents of destruction overwhelmed me. The cords of the grave coiled around me. Snares of death confronted me. In my distress I called to the Lord, cried to my God for help into his ears. The earth shakes and trembled and quaked, and the mountains shook out of fear. He made darkness his covering as the birds tearing clouds of the sky, and from the brightness of his radiant face, hailstones and bolts of light, the Lord thundered. The Lord thundered.
Part of the home that was crumbling and falling down the mountain. We took that part of the house down, and we helped build the foundation with sand and cement and rocks, and chiseled the rocks to fit. And then now he's going to take all the pieces of his house that he salvaged and build it back up on the foundation.
Well, halfway around the world, not only was God doing amazing things in Honduras, but halfway around in Russia. He was at work last summer, and this is Wendy Shelton. Wendy and I jumped on a plane in June, and we took off and did who knows how many hours, I have no idea. Landed in Moscow, and then we parted ways. Wendy actually took a team to Haloy, which is a orphanage that really has a lot of younger kids in it. Some kindergarten, pre-kindergarten kids all the way up into elementary. And I drove farther on to Yurvitz. which is a orphanage that really has a lot of teens in it, all the way up to 18 years of age. Yurvitz and Haloy are located somewhere. We're not really sure where, because we get on a bus and then we randomly wake up and we get off and minister. But it's somewhere about 9 hours northeast of Moscow. So it is way out there. Last year when we went to Yurvitz, we were some of the first Westerners a lot of them had ever seen. And so we know the Cold War is over, but it sure just doesn't feel like it. When you land in these small villages, you could set your watch back 20 years, and it just feels like you've kind of stepped back in time. It's just extremely quaint and beautiful. The people are amazing. And so we'll tell you a little bit more in here in a second. Wendy, share with us at Haloy, how did you really see God's hand move in particular this summer?
Definitely in the deepening of the relationships with the staff and the translators and, of course, the children. When we pulled up in the driveway the first day, some of the staff was actually waiting for us, and I felt like I was pulling into the driveway of an extended family member's home. And by the last day, they were the day they gave us a lunch, they were sharing personal stories, and one of the teachers had brought in a home video that her husband had made because I'd asked questions about her village and some of the history, and they told us that we were part of their family. And they said, please write us letters too, not just the kids. We want letters from you too, which was really neat. The translators, 3 of the translators have been with us on all 3 trips, and they're really like brothers and sisters to us. Many of us on the team have exchanged personal email addresses and continue to talk with them, and we're even trying to get one of them up here to visit in October or November, and if that's the case, we'll certainly have her here. But that's been a really unique opportunity too, in that we're able to talk to them about God and what it means to be a Christian, and they obviously see something a little bit different in us. And obviously with the kids, and now that we've returned, it's just so cool because now the kids know we're coming back, and it gives them hope and something to look forward to. We struggled a little bit this summer because the 4th graders were all leaving. They get transferred to a different orphanage after 4th grade. And we were trying to think of something really special to do for them to continue that relationship on even when they left. So we had decided to put some photo album type scrapbook together, and many of you may have seen that or written some notes in it. So each 4th grader got a book that was filled with letters of encouragement, favorite scripture verses, pictures. We took a printer with us during the week, so each of those 4th graders had pictures with us together, so they could take something with them when they left. And we realized what an impact that had on them just recently, because one of the boys was at a different camp the week we were there, so he didn't get his book until a couple of weeks later. And our translator friend was going through the book with him, and he made her sit down and write a note to every single person who had written in that book for him. And of course, he didn't know most of the people who'd written in that book. So that really had a lot of impact.
Last year, when we pulled up to Yurvitz, we weren't warmly received. And I think a lot of it has to do with lack of understanding of Westerners, and the other deal is that these kids at Yurvitz, they've been in the system for a long time, and they're kind of jaded. So we were not super warmly received. This year, though, it was night and day difference, because they spent time with us last year. This year, they were excited. They came running out, and I'll tell you what, one of the most moving moments for me was finally meeting my sponsor child. Her name is Katya, and she's 8. I think now she's 9. Just a beautiful, beautiful little girl. The challenge was last year when I went, she had gone to camp, and so here I am traveling halfway around the world, and she was 2 hours away. And I did not get to meet her. This year, though, she did not go to camp, and she stayed. And she came running out. She had my photos that I had sent her. She had my letters, and she came running up. She grabbed me, and she was saying, Bet, Bet, Bet. She was wanting to know where my wife, Beth, was. You can't get the TH sound down, so it's Bet. And just amazing. Held my hand, was pretty much connected to my body the whole entire week. I recall a moment where my hand slipped away, and I put my hand in my pocket, and she reached into my pocket, pulled my hand out, and reconnected. And just an amazing moment to reflect and know that I can be a surrogate dad for her, and I can love her the way Christ has loved me. Amazing relationship. And I think the other thing I wanted to share with you from this summer, too, is that the whole theme of our time with these Yurvitz kids was your story. What is your story? Because quite honestly, they don't feel like they have a good story. They've been told that their life doesn't matter, that because they're not invested in. They're really low on the caste level, and so what's important about an orphan's story? Well, we got to celebrate those this summer, and they wrote and they journaled about their story and understood how in the end God, the Redeemer of all stories, just desperately loves them, and that they matter. They matter a lot.
Hey, you mentioned the girl that you sponsor. Do you know what the word sponsor means?
I do not know what the word sponsors means. Share with me.
It actually means to pledge, but the Latin derivative of the English word also has to do with respond. And I just thought that was so appropriate, that as sponsors we're responding. And at Holoi Orphanage, we're no longer known as sponsors. We're the American Friends. And I don't know about you, but if I only had one friend in the world, one letter a month would really mean a lot. And it's pretty amazing to think that you may be the only person in the entire world who prays for that sponsored child. And how long does it take to say a prayer? So I know when we were there in January, the little girl that I sponsor, her name is Anya. And one of the last thing that she said to me as we were leaving is she said, "I was looking for a friend and I found one in you." And those words have really not only stuck with me, but they haunt me a lot at night. But it's also a really awesome thing to know that God has really laid it on my heart that I need to do whatever I can to have a significant impact in her life.
So here's where we want to leave it, is that before the third service start, we did have kids out there that were available for sponsoring. We don't any longer. But if you do not have a kid that you're sponsoring, I'm telling you, you can still put skin to Jesus' love and join us next summer and go with us to Russia. Every summer we take about 30. I'd love to take more than that this year. So if God's laying that on your heart, man, answer that. Come find me or Wendy. Talk to us. Also, if you are already sponsoring a child, I cannot think of a better way to spend 2 weeks than to go hang with that kid and in the flesh, hold them, love them, speak into them. Amazing, amazing opportunity. So take us up on that. Well, spin the globe back all the way around the United States. And we don't often think of missions when it comes to the United States, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of missions going on here. So we're going to hear one more little snapshot of what's going on. Eric, come on up.
All right. Well, for the last couple years, we've also been involved right here in the United States with relief for the Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. And I've asked John to come up and to share a little bit about that trip. This was your first time heading out. Yeah. And so what did you guys do there? What happened in New Orleans?
Well, is this on? Yeah. We went down there to serve God and the people down there in New Orleans after Katrina. And we took several different personal gifts with us that we could share with people and help do things down there. And we mucked out a lot of houses that were very devastated, a lot of mold, chemicals, waste, mud. We also did a little bit of electrical work, carpentry work, sheetrock, stuff like that. We also helped, several people in the group helped with building a playground for some kids at a school. They also helped with a tornado that hit during the time we were down there, clear up the devastation from that. And we just learned a lot, felt a lot down there. By the time we left, we had a different outlook on the place and what had gone on there. And, excuse me, we came back with additional gifts and developed a lot of compassion and passion towards the people down there. It was just a situation that made our hearts change. It was wonderful.
So there was one thing that that you would want us to know in regards to New Orleans. What would that be?
Oh, don't forget. Please don't forget New Orleans. Katrina hasn't been televised. The devastation down there hasn't been televised a lot lately on the news or anywhere. It's been 2 years now, and they still need a lot of help. Those people down there are valuable to God too, and they desperately need our help. You know, we've talked about hunger and aid and disease worldwide. There's also natural disasters that devastate people worldwide too, and they desperately need our help. Prayer, sponsor, volunteer. Please don't forget.
So there's a team heading out in November. There's a table back there if you want to sign up and see how you can help. There's these brochures at every table out there that not only tells you how you can help and get involved with the team going to New Orleans, but also the Honduras team that's going in January and Russia. And I mean, we need, even if you can't go, there's things that you can do here that can be a support to the team. So thank you, John. So.
Thank you.
I want to bring up one other group, and so if Carmen and Haley would join me, because we also had our youth group get involved right here locally on what we called our urban mission, and they took a week to serve throughout the Salt Lake Valley. They worked with the homeless. They worked over at the Dream Center. They served in people's homes, even from within K2. And I just looked for ways to say, well, how can we, again, extend the love of Christ to the people right here? And I heard a lot of great stories about what happened this week. And so I've asked both Haley and Carmen to come up and share a little bit. And so, Haley, you've shared one particular situation, and so I'd love for you to do it one more time and share it with us.
So it was one of the last days on the mission trip, and we were on a scavenger hunt type of thing through like Salt Lake City, and one of the things on the list was ask a homeless guy out to lunch. And so we went down by Gateway, and we saw a guy sitting on the ground with a homeless and hungry sign. And so we went up to him and talked to him for a little bit and asked him if he wanted to go to lunch with us, and he looked at us with like the most shocked face, like, and he asked us if we were really serious, and we said, of course we are, like, where do you want to go? And he had this huge smile on his face, and he said, so the youth does have a heart.
Well, so what was lunch like? Was it awkward, or what did you find?
It was awesome. This guy was so fun to talk to, and he was really funny, and we had a lot in common. Like, we're not far off from where they are. They just made some mistakes, like, yeah.
Well, thank you. And Carmen, you were one of the leaders, and you and I have talked quite a bit. And share with us what your experience was for the last day.
I think my struggle kind of ties into what Tom said today. I just felt that I was always on the other side of the road when it came to teens and homeless. Those are just two groups that I wasn't involved with. I didn't have a heart for. Maybe even nervous around because I didn't understand them. And so I was asked to be part of the group, and it was just strange to me that I accepted and I decided to go. And as I walked away after I accepted, I'm like, why did I just accept that? But I think that what impacted me the most was the last day after the trip. We met for kind of a debriefing, and Ryan, the leader, asked all the teens to lift us up in some way. So each leader would come up front, sit in a seat, and the teens would talk about, what did we do that might have encouraged them or, liked about us, whatever. And so I'm sitting, waiting for my turn, and I was just absolutely terrified because I feel like I grew up in a family that was somewhat verbally abusive. So anybody paying me a compliment or just the thought of that is just terrifying for me. So I'm sitting there, and I just want to get up and leave because I'm in pain, thinking that I have to go up there and nobody has anything good to say about me, and no teen is going to connect with me or like me in any way. And it ended up being overwhelming, the response, and so I was excited about that. But I think what I got from that was that even as an adult leader, I was like just starving to be accepted or to be loved. And spending the week with the teens, same thing, and realizing that they're no different. They're, longing to be loved and accepted as well. And again, the homeless people, no different. I mean, just to get in there, have a conversation with them, realize that their life is really no different than mine is right now, and anything could happen, and that's where you end up. And so I don't know that I can change their lives or have lunch with them every day, but I do make a conscious effort now when I do see somebody that's homeless on the street to actually look them in the eye and say hello and start loving them that way.
So you're going to go do it again?
We did go back. We did backpacks for Brownies, so we provided backpacks for all the little kids out at Lake Park. And it's just like everything else we've heard today. It's all those activities are so great, but it's always the relationship. And it's always to see that these little boys and little girls will latch on to you if they know that you're willing to just touch them or say hi to them. It's just amazing. And so Wednesday the 19th, the youth group will be going down there. We'll be watching a video and just hanging out with the kids. So if you're interested at all, we'll meet here, and you're welcome to come. All
right. So there again is another opportunity. Thank you, guys. And we're going to take just another minute, one more video for you. So just take a look at this and just see a little bit of a glimpse of what the youth did.
After we got done kind of serving and doing a water balloon fight with at Lake Park, they were just hanging out with these kids and loving on these kids. All the kids in my van, they totally said, we want to go back there. We want to go back there all the time now. We want to make it our own. And that's really, it was a high point just because that's what the trip is all about.
All right, so that's the question for today. Will you? Will you go back on the 19th and serve with the youth? What, just showing a video and loving on those kids at Lake Park? Will you go back and meet with the people back at the Russia table? Sign up to see if there's any other children that can be sponsored or any other things that we might be able to do. I mean, I know there's not children in our own orphanage, but who knows? Maybe we will have enough that we can go and do a care point in Africa, or maybe we can even expand what we're doing in Russia. You know, we go back and talk to our Honduras team. They're leaving in January for another trip. You could sign up right now and you could be a part of that. You know, will you go on our trip to Russia next summer? Will you serve at the Dream Center? They need people right now to help serve and work with the kids in after-school programs and a variety of other places. You know, will you head downtown and help feed the homeless and minister to the people there? We talk about being out there, and it's got to be more than talk. So we're going to go out and we're going to do it. The question is, are you going to join us? I hope you do, because if you do, it will change the lives of those that we will go and see, and we will serve. God will change your life and moving you in a way that you've probably never experienced before, and you will be blessed. You know, will you just pick up this flyer? See how you can help us out. Will you go back and go ahead and pre-purchase a book? You might not get the book to read today, but you're going to feed an orphan. And, if the book never comes in, it's still great. But when it does come in, take time and read it. Might just change your life. You know, my wife and I went last summer to Russia just to go and to serve. Changed our lives. We got another daughter now at home, you know. You don't know what God's going to do and make it happen, all right?